Hi and welcome back. I'm your host, attorney Michael Potter. How you doing? In this discussion that we've been having about the multi-generation dynasty trust, we've learned about what it is, but we want to talk today more about who the players are and then what can the trust be used for. Now, the trust is always established by what is called the grantor or grantors. That's the persons who establish the trust and serve as its founders. Next comes the trustee, which is a very important position. Now, you're going to select the trustee, but the trustee's job is to administer the trust according to your instructions. And that trustee will have a backup known as a successor trustee who can step in the event something happens to the trustee and carry on your instructions just like you want. Because of the importance of the job as trustee, they need to understand that they have a fiduciary duty, not to themselves and not to you, but to the beneficiaries that you've nominated. Probably your children or grandchildren, or maybe, if you don't have kids, your nieces and nephews. But not just for one generation, for the generation to follow as well. So you want to pick someone who's young enough to likely outlive you and someone who has the integrity to do the job. Now let's talk about the beneficiaries. Every trust has grantors, a trustee, and the beneficiaries. That's the persons that you designate to receive the benefit of the trust. Now, the beneficiaries can benefit from the trust in a variety of ways. You may specify that you want them to receive outright property from the trust, or if it's funded with life insurance or mutual funds or stocks and bonds, or even the profits of companies that are owned by the trust, you might specify that that cash flow, those profits, flow out to the beneficiaries. Now, the beneficiaries typically are going to be the next generation down, whether that's your children or your nieces and nephews. But in any event, the beneficiaries will receive any cash flow that comes from the trust, any profits that come from the trust, or any assets that you decide to make distribution with. Now, over the years, many of the clients that I've worked with have really liked the idea of building incentives as part of the trust. It gives an extra measure of inspiration, if you will, to the beneficiaries to reach a little further, to try a little harder, to become more, and to become productive members of society. Let's talk about the kinds of incentives that you might have. Over the years, as I have designed Dynasty Trust for clients, several of them have really liked the idea of using incentives. That is, incentives that motivate and inspire the beneficiaries to become more, to try harder, to reach further, and to raise themselves up in terms of personal, professional development, or even their contribution to the world around them to make it a better place to live in. You might have incentives to reward and inspire the beneficiaries to reach further in education, for example, to go for that graduate degree or that doctoral degree. You might have incentives that provide them with the down payment on a home if they achieve certain kind of objectives that you set for them, such as business ownership, contributions to the community, active church involvement, involvement in community groups like scouting and so forth. You may have good incentives that help your beneficiaries reach their full potential. We had one client that had funded his Dynasty trust not only with some property and some companies, but also with life insurance. It was a substantial amount of life insurance. And in his incentives that were designed for his nieces and nephews, he specifically said that for a certain period of time after they graduate from college or graduate school, he would match their earnings. So that was an incentive to get out there and make something of themselves. So if they wanted to stand on a street corner with a sign asking for handouts, that's what he would match. On the other hand, if they got up off their rear end and made a productive effort in society to make the world around them a better place, to create jobs, to reach higher in education, and maybe to become a business owner, it was a great way for him to incentivize them by saying that he would match what they earned every year for a 10-year period. Pretty nice incentive. So that would give the beneficiaries high motivation to get out there and create a good income. Well, as usual, I've given you a lot to think about, and I'm sure you may have some questions. If you do, either myself or my staff will be glad to speak with you and arrange a time for a consultation. I'm attorney Michael Potter, and I look forward to hearing from you.